Hello and welcome. In the previous video I briefly explained what GitHub Copilot is, but now it's time to do some real stuff. So now we are going to set up GitHub Copilot in IntelliJ and Visual Studio Code, and we will start to experiment with it. So let's get into that. Let me bring us first IntelliJ. We discussed what we need for Copilot. A GitHub account, you could deal with this easily. A compatible IDE, which is obviously IntelliJ, and the GitHub Copilot plugin. So let's go and install it. Go to settings, plugins, here we are. Make sure you're searching the marketplace and just easily write GitHub Copilot, here we are. So let's go and install it. It will take a couple of seconds, but bear with me. Here we are. It should be quick. Great. We will be prompted, yes, to restart our IDE, so let's go ahead very quickly. And we should be up and running, ready to do our first test with Copilot. Let me deal with this later. What is the first application every programming language? Is the Hello World. So let's make a twist into Hello World, but let's write a Hello World. And you see already that GitHub Copilot is making some suggestions for me, but it's not exactly what I want. I want to have a private string concat. Exactly, this is what I want. And let's do a system out print line. Not the hello world, so GitHub Copilot is suggesting me again. Let's make it static. And let's call the concat method here. Exactly. So this is what I wanted, and this is what we could easily test out, whether it's working okay. Hello world, almost okay. So here we are. We tested out successfully Copilot and it gave us the very first suggestions. So now let's go and do the same exercise in Visual Studio Code. I just fired up quickly Visual Studio Code where I have GitHub Copilot already installed, but it's exactly the same journey as we did in IntelliJ with a small twist. So let's take a look at the extensions and search for GitHub Copilot or just Copilot. Small typo, Copilot. And yes, here we are. There are two different plugins available for Visual Studio Code. GitHub Copilot, which is exactly the same plugin as we installed in IntelliJ with the standard features of the Copilot, and GitHub Copilot Labs, which are the experimental features, known also as GitHub Copilot X. After installing the Copilot Labs, there will be a new icon appearing in your main menu in Visual Studio Code with tons of features, how you could interact with Copilot. It could explain you code, it could fix bugs, even you could chat with Copilot. But we are not going deep into the Copilot X features today, as we just would like to try out whether Copilot is working now in our Visual Studio Code interface or IDE. So let's go ahead and try it. There are no suggestions given yet, but we know that we would like to write the Hello World application with a small twist. And we saw in the documentation there are two ways how to interact with Copilot. First, start writing code and GitHub Copilot will pick it up and give us suggestions. Or the second is to write some meaningful comments. So let's take a look. Concats to strings. So it could be exactly. So we see that the first suggestion what GitHub Copilot gave us is exactly concatenation. So let's accept it with tab. And now the only thing which is missing for us is to use the concat method and print out in the console. We see that Copilot is suggesting us the hello world statement, but this is not exactly what we want. We want to have a system out print line and concat. And yes, exactly, this is what we want, but not passing null, but passing the hello string and passing the, and Copilot picks this up nicely, passing the world string, and we should be set. And this is everything you need to know to set up Copilot and start interacting with it. I hope you found this video interesting. Thank you for watching and have a great day.